Hey, do you ever just not have the capacity to truly hate people because they somehow did good things in your life? I'm kind of really good at having those bonds with people for a lot of reasons. Like, for example, I've done fucked up things, I've known people who have done fucked up things, and they're still lovable. That's one of my toxic traits, is that, like, even with the guy I was recently seeing, he was such an asshole. He was massively insecure and would brag, and he was just the most. Like, he tried negging before he actually tried, like, complimenting. He tried shitty manipulation tactics before, and, like, he couldn't just believe that I liked him. But I thought to myself, I really do like this man. And it sucks that he's acting this way because I like him so much, and I know he doesn't need to do this, and I see through him at his core. And I wish that he would just stop, like, with the layered amounts of bullshit and just would act normal. Because I would have accepted Alex at his most candid if he let me. Because I love that way. And it's just a total shame that, like, it's just a shame that things didn't work out. But I know it deep down wasn't my fault. You can't stop some people from doing what they do. That's my toxic trait. With my recent official ex, Jared, like, I didn't leave him because I thought to myself, deep down, he's the guy that got me groceries when I was hungry as fuck and my stomach was touching my spine. He was the guy where if I was having a rough night, he would just let me talk to him for like hours. Like, if I had, he would watch every single thing I posted online the second it got posted because he thought about me every second of the day. He wanted to know if I ate or not. He wanted to know if I drank water, if I showered, if I took care of myself. And like when I got a really bad concussion, he sprung to action. He called me and he was like, "Hey, you're posting stuff where you're slurring and you say your vision's blurry and you're showing most of the signs of concussion. If this keeps going forward, I may have to take you to a hospital." And he was a sweet and thoughtful man. I wish he didn't do what he did to me in the sexually perverted, like, fucking rapey Ray. I wish that he was less racist and less transphobic and less this and less that, but that's just him at his core. And I wish that, but overall, I wish he would have been less insecure and had more control over his, like, lust and his desires. Because him being insecure led to a lot of bullshit, similar to Alex, where he just could not believe compliments his direction or thought he had to do weird, shitty things to try to keep my attention because he didn't think that I could just love him for him. And the sad thing is, I did. I loved him despite all of his fucked up flaws. And I know you're like, oh, and I know you're like, to me, are you admitting that you had feelings for a racist transphobe? How do I put this? I believed that some things that he still had a pretty good opinion of trans people. He just would say stupid shit. And he had a good opinion of black people, but he would say stupid shit. He was that weird little, like, middle ground where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could bring him over to the right side and make him, like, be less of a piece of shit in some ways if he, like, wanted to. And I think that he could genuinely change for the better. But, that's not the important part. But I guess I'll just include that in the video anyway. I loved him. I did. I had feelings for him, and I enjoyed getting to know him and his life, and I thought he was fun and fascinating and interesting, but I guess because he couldn't feel that way about himself, he took it out on me. And all of the shit he did just resulted in it ending so horrendously, and it sucks because I used to see him as my best motherfucking friend. But it's okay. I have more than just him in the world to care about me, and that's a blessing. God bless and amen. But I will say this. At some point, oh, some people I feel like I just can't hate. For example, last night, like, there's this guy I've known for years, since high school actually, almost a decade. JC is what I call him. I have a lot of good memories with him where he, like, sings to me in Spanish as he drives me around the city, like with the windows down on a late night in his car, and we talk about anything under the sun, and then he gives me extra money on my birthday just because he wants to be sweet. He actually looks after me. Like, he would actually want to actively hear, like, what my big plans are in life, what goals I'm doing, what events I'm attending, so he could live vicariously through me. At some point, he was a man who just was like, I enjoy Tamia's presence. And, like, he could tell me things that he wouldn't tell other people, and I thought we had a strong connection. He broke my heart this summer. platonically, because let's just say right as things were ramping up a bit more between us, where I noticed that he was actually like interested in kissing me, and we hadn't kissed in like years at that point, but he was interested in like tongue kissing and like kissing and cuddling for hours and naked and talking about everything under the sun and doing this and doing that. He was just like shit he didn't need to do. Like, oh hey, let's watch an episode of this TV show actually, or hey, like here, extra food just because I feel like it and you deserve it. Sweet things. And then he pulled the rug under me by just like vanishing so coldly. And then when I called him out on it, he just said we were barely even friends. And that broke my heart because it's like, oh, so you mean to tell me that, like, it meant fucking nothing to you when you cried into my breasts for several hours and told me about every fucked up thing in your life that meant nothing to you? Oh, okay. That fucked with me a lot more than I would like to admit. We hadn't talked in months until last night, and he just called and was like, I really need someone to talk to. Can I talk to you? And I knew that he basically, and I just kind of thought to myself, is this just him being horny? But deep down, he mentioned nothing about sex. I had a gut feeling that it really was just he was going through an awful fucking time. And who am I to deprive someone of what they need if I have it? Even though there's been plenty of times where I was the one suicidal, I was the one crying and desperate, he couldn't do shit for me. He couldn't even pick me up on certain nights because he wouldn't find it convenient or he wouldn't find it worth it. He's been a shithead to me in a million fucking ways, but I have done awful things to him too, so we're even. But that last thing he did, that shattered my fucking heart. But I guess it didn't stop me because I said, sure, how long will it take you to get here? And then last night he told me a bunch of stuff that actually is more heavy than I could ever imagine from him. And it all was crumbling under his feet, and he needed someone to make him feel stable. And we just went to the beach and got food, and like we just like cuddled in each other's arms and looked at the city skyline reflecting on the ocean, and we admired all the stars in this quiet. And I let him cry, and I let him laugh, and I let him feel anger in a way that he can't in his normal daily life. And I thought to myself, like, I shouldn't care for this man. He doesn't deserve it. Why am I here? But I guess in a way, I guess I was just happy that I could be a support system he relied on and thought of. But in another sense, I truly did care about him, sadly. And I guess it made me feel a little special that instead of it being like, fuck to me and my life is going perfect and I never have to think about her again, it's like, no, when he's in duress, he thinks of me. And he misses me. And he comes for me. And no, that's not a double entendre. Get your mind out of the gutter. But it meant something. And I felt disgusted with myself, and I even told him in the second half of our time at the beach last night. We stayed there until almost 4 a.m. I just told him I'm disgusted with myself, and I'm disgusted with you, that I still have you around. But I can tell that I do care, because otherwise I would have not came out and got in your car and let you talk and cry if I truly did not give a fuck about your situation and know and have a gut feeling that it was going to be so severe. I have another friend who I won't name. I'm that for him too. He hasn't always been perfect, but guess what? Sometimes he was the reason that I didn't get a bottle of alcohol, or that I didn't like fully finally leave this fucking planet. Sometimes he was the reason that I stopped having anxiety. Like, he was not the perfect guy by a long shot. No, he said fucked up things to me too. He used to say I was like, he used to be like, oh, you're a fucking whore. He used to say passive aggressive shit about me being a gold digging bitch or a slut or whatever. He used to be fucking condescending and rude and evil and an asshole. But then again, there were several moments in time where he was there when I fucking needed him to be. He was not perfect. He was not the most amazing person ever. But still, I still remember that it's like, that's the guy who made me feel good about myself and told me I was a 10. Or like at least a 9. And like, he's the guy who made sure I got home safely when he thought Morgan was outside of my house and would try to do something. He's the guy that when I had a mental breakdown and did something that I'd rather not confess, he was like, yeah, I'll be your alibi. He was a sweet man who cares for me. He doesn't always have the capacity to care or the knowledge on how to do it, but sometimes when the moment is right, he fucking knows how to do it perfectly well. And for that reason, no matter what beef is happening with him, he can just call me up and be like, hi, I really need to talk. There's no one else around. And I will be there because I care. And some people I just have that for. Even this one guy who I nicknamed Boomerang Dick or whatever, because his dick shaped like a boomerang. Simply put, it's hot. It's awesome. Oh my god, it was great. Anyway, sorry. Simply put, that guy, I remember I thought to myself, how do I put this? He's done me dirty too. But I'll put it like this. I have gone full crazy bitch psychotic, like sending him like fucking shit that he's never told me, like terrifying levels of behavior. But guess what? He still, throughout it all, would still be like, hey, what did I do wrong? Can you tell me? And I'm sorry you're feeling this way. I hope you feel better. And he would still wish me well. And it was such a small gesture, but simply put, if you knew my dating history and how people who I've known for even fucking longer or had more serious bonds with, they couldn't even do that. They only thought of himself, and here he was, someone who has every fucking right to hate me or be mad at me or be disgusted by me or loathe me. He instead is just like so polite still and just like, oh hey, are you okay? I hope you feel better. And it seems like such a small deal. And it probably is in the grand scheme of things, but it still felt good. And so for that reason, it's like with this guy, it's like, you know what? I just was like, I don't want to raise hell on this guy anymore. He's not perfect. He's been fucking shitty. He's the guy who sent me a goddamn dick pic right after I told him I was suicidal, yes. So I know that he also is definitely a fucking piece of shit. Absolutely. Like, he can be selfish and arrogant and stupid and horny and fucking idiotic. But I can't fully hate him. I'll be disgusted by him, but at the same time, it's like he still, when I was in my revenge mindset and acting an ass, even though I had a fun time doing it and don't regret it, I just feel a little bad that it happened, of course. He still had the grace to extend grace to me and be kind and be nice in the way that I usually extend to others. And for that, I can't hate that man. I'm saddened that we probably will never have the bond that we had. Because for context, this guy, the one that I'm talking about, Boomerang Dick, I remember I was drunk at like this comedy bar with no way home safely, 30 minutes until the train station was going to close, lost, tipsy, and he just was there. He was sober and sweet, and we talked, and it seemed like he was really kind to me, and he was funny and playful, and I had a fun time getting to know him. And I thought to myself, I really needed this, because after my relationship with Jarryd, I, I thought like Jarryd felt like he was my all man. I felt that dude hard, and just because he traumatized me didn't mean it was easier to let go of him. It didn't, until I finally learned how to hate Jarryd. Thank God I did. Otherwise, who knows where I'd be? I'd probably be dead by now, and I'm not even kidding. I seriously considered suicide with Jarryd. Oh, you don't know how bad it got. So you don't know how it feels when, like, a few weeks later, after you're done feeling like suicidal as fuck, depressed, hopeless, and like finally out of an abusive relationship, to just meet a man where it's like he's not treating you like a sex object. He was just walking in public, making sure I get home safely, smiling at me so kindly and warmly, and being extremely sweet. And I got to know how it felt to be normal again because of him. And that's sweet. And I like that. I and I still, even in this moment, I'm like, yes, he still to this day does not know how much I needed that. How much I just needed someone who actually was going to make me feel safe, who was going to make me feel interesting and worthy of good. And he wasn't someone searching for a way to harm me or one up me or trick me, at least not at that point. He was just someone who was like, this is a cute girl. I want to make sure she gets home safely. And we had such a fun time talking that we even got off a whole train stop early because we were like, we wanted to talk more and have as much time as we could to enjoy each other's company. And I still remember how euphoric I felt that night after talking about him. I had feelings for a crush that I hadn't had in quite some time, and it felt nice and overwhelming because I feel a lot of emotions. I do. And I really adored that. So even now, even though it's like, okay, I haven't seen him in months, a lot of bad shit has happened, and he still managed to still be nice to me regardless of all the bad I've done. You know what? It's like, I will just sweetly exit his life. I won't raise hell anymore. I'll peacefully exit because at some point he granted me peace when I was in a hard place, and even now he still wishes peace for me, even though I've tried to give him nothing but hell and anxiety. So for that, I can't hate him. Anyway, peace out.